I knew how to put on a facade. I had learned that in high school. Many people would say that they never knew anything was going on because I knew how to put a smile on my face. But my junior year in college, after being in a relationship for a while, I found myself in a situation that I never thought that I would be in. I was pregnant. My junior year, not knowing what to do. A friend of mine had had an abortion previously, and I listened to that advice and decided to go to an abortion clinic out of state because I didn't want anyone to know my situation, because I was afraid that if I had gone to the church or if I had gone to my family or told anyone, that they would judge me, because I knew that it wasn't accepted that I would be pregnant out of wedlock. As I got to the abortion facility, I was told to keep my head down and not listen to anyone of anything that they were saying to me, but I could hear them. I saw them. There were people lined up along the different sidewalks that this facility was surrounding, reaching out, trying to help me. I know they were, but I wasn't listening because I was so focused on trying to get inside. I put my head down, ignoring the people outside, and got inside, and I sat down and listened to everything that they were telling me. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna be better off. You have your whole life ahead of you. It's just a tissue. It's not a baby. They never once said the word baby. Never. They never once said anything about an abortion. They always said terminating your pregnancy. And I listened to that. I bought into the lies that were being told to me that day because I wanted to justify my behavior and the decision that I was making. And I wanted to believe that even though I knew deep down inside what I was doing was wrong. I knew it. But I didn't know what else to do at that point. I wanted my career. I'd grown up in poverty, and I wanted success. I thought money was success. And so that day I listened to them. And I got on that table. And as they were prepping me for that surgical abortion, holding my hand as tears ran down my face, just squeezing me, thinking that they were for me, but not realizing they were really against me. With the images in my head of walking up to that sidewalk and people being outside thinking they were the ones against me, but actually they were the ones for me, trying to help me. But I listened. I listened to that lie, and I followed through that day with them taking the very life inside of me that God had created. No matter my situation, that was a life taken that day. As I laid on that table and the procedure being done, hearing this section and remembering that, knowing, they said, it'll just take a few minutes. It's not going to take very long. And you'll be able to lay there and you'll be fine. You'll recover quickly. It'll just be like some cramping, like a menstrual cycle. And you're going to be fine after that. We'll give you something afterwards and you'll go home. And that's exactly what happened. And afterwards, feeling full of guilt and shame that I knew that I had taken a child's life. There are so many effects of abortion afterwards. I think it even starts as they're doing the procedure. You want to hide. There is a shame and a guilt that covers you, that covers every single woman, whether they were for their abortion or against it. There's no woman that has not felt that guilt or shame, and many are very angry. I was furious. I had been angry as a child, but this affected me more than what I thought that it would. And it was just like being pissed off all the time after this and wanting to continue to drink and do drugs to escape from the fact of the reality of what I had done. And plus keeping secrets, not telling anyone, because if anyone knew, then they would judge me and they might not like me and they might talk and say awful things about me, and that could ruin my reputation, and I didn't want that. I didn't want that at all. I felt like I had been taken advantage of. Now that I'm able to look back, I wasn't told the whole truth. I wasn't told that there were other options for me. I wasn't told that there were other choices for me. This was the only choice that was given to me. Well, in 2007, God drastically got a hold of me. And after struggling with drugs, alcohol, abortion, divorce, the whole 9 yards, this lady ended up praying with me. And that day, my life changed. But I had no idea what God had in store for me. In 2009, I ended up moving back to the hometown that I had grown up in, that I never wanted to be a part of anymore. And it was about 5 months later that I felt the Lord leading me to go to the Social Security office. And it was there that they verified my mom's information. And at that point, they verified my father's information, the very information I thought that I would never know. And within about 48 hours, I met him, and he looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you." And knowing that the Lord had led me to the truth, I waited a few hours, because after 38 years, after never knowing the truth of who I was, God had led me to that point. And I ended up calling my mom and telling her what had happened the last 2 days. And as she cried on the other end of the line, telling me that she was so sorry that she was going to have to tell me what she was going to tell me, and that she never intended me to find this out, she said, "That man raped me. That man raped me." And I said, "But Mom, it's okay. It's okay." And she said, "No, it wasn't okay. It wasn't okay." And it was at that point that I realized the love of a mother, because I had been so angry of why she didn't tell me the truth. But then also realizing that my life had been saved, and I had taken 3 lives of my own. And the humility of knowing that every life is precious, that God had made my life. He knew every hair on my head. And now knowing that He has a plan and a purpose to tell the truth, to tell the general public, to tell women, to encourage them, you do not want to choose abortion. It is harmful, not only mentally, physically, emotionally. It affects you for the rest of your life, and you can't take it back. You can't. And now I just continue to be so thankful for my life and the love that my mom has for me, that she did keep me no matter how I was conceived, because she realized that my life was precious. And so I remain in thankfulness and forgiveness for her, and even my father, of what he had done to her.